Hello, 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 loves. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. We are live, I think. I'm so glad to see you guys here already over in the chat box. Welcome. My deepest gratitude today to you for taking the time to be here. I so look forward to these chats every week, guys. You have no idea. You have no idea how much I look forward to them. Let me know if my audio is working okay, because that's the number one thing I always worry about is that my audio input will be connected to something it shouldn't be and not and that you won't be able to hear me. So let me know if you can hear me, all right? Have a cup of tea. I decided to go with it. An elderberry echinacea tea, which is perfect for this time of year. Boosting your immune system is always a good idea. So that's a really good combination for winter time, which it's crazy to think that it's already December, December 3rd. Where does the time go? I don't know because my mind is still stuck in autumn. I feel like I'm just processing that. And now we're already here. We are in the winter season. Yay! Everyone can hear me. Awesome. How are you guys doing? Let me know where you're tuning in from. I would love to know how you all are. How's your unfolding journey going? What is the season teaching you? This season has been teaching me so much about rest, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to propose that we talk about this. And it was fun because we did a poll and I asked you guys, would you like to talk about rest and how to rest well, or should we talk about digital detox? We could talk about how to use your phone less. Both are good topics. And you guys, so many of you chose rest. And I was excited because I've spent a lot of time recently talking about digital detox. And I really wanted to talk about rest. So I was glad so many of you wanted to hear that, even though we are going to be covering a lot on detoxing digitally in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. If you were someone who wanted to hear that, we're still going to be talking about it. Belgium, Norway, Long Island. So cool to see where you guys are tuning in from. That's awesome. Well, I wanted to first start by giving my deepest gratitude to you for being here and to share a tiny bit about what I've been working on lately because it really connects to this topic of rest and rejuvenation. Over the past several months, I've been writing an ebook for you guys, and it's finished. I finally finished it. It's in the proofreading stages now, and I'm hoping to release it with the coming new year. And it's going to be all about I don't want to say the name because I want to do a big name reveal, but it's going to be about everything we talk about on this channel and a lot of what we talk about on these lives when we get together for these live organic discussions. Minimalism, organic, wholesome living, slow living practices, how we can nourish ourselves and by doing so become more creative, and just daily practices I bring into my life that aid me in doing that. And also lots of recipes. So, whether you're plant based or you have a different diet, I think these are recipes that are very easy for anyone to be able to incorporate, and I had so much fun making them. There's a lot of lattes, there's a lot of teas, lots of nourishing, healthy recipes that are super easy to make. So that's going to be incorporated into that book as well. And I've also been working on a course that I'm going to release at the same time that I release the ebook. So this course is called The Writer's Wellness Journey. And if you are a creative writer or a creative of any kind, it actually takes you through a 10-day journey with me with 4 videos per day, going through a motivational talk in the morning, a meditation, a yoga practice, and a recipe with videos for every single one of those things and additional resources. So this is something that I've been wanting to build for you guys because we get together and we talk and I see the comments that come in and the questions that you guys send me and I'm like, I really want to make something more comprehensive and deep that you can do at your own pace in your own time. So all that to say, the ebook and the course are both coming at the same time right around the new year. So keep an eye on my social media or sign up for my email so you don't miss that because I think you guys are really going to like it. So let's go into our topic for today. Oh, and by the way, there's a super chat option, which I didn't even realize one of you guys pointed it out to me the last time. And it always means so much. It's never expected, but it fills my heart with gratitude and it does help me to continue doing what I do here. So thank you to all of you who have sent me those because it really helps me to continue doing what I'm doing here. Never expected, always appreciated. Love you guys. And thank you for being here. Thank you for carving out this time for yourself. So I called this topic, this talk, how to rest well, because I think that's really the key. How do we do this well? This is something that we can get better at. And it's funny to think of resting in that context because we often think of much of what modern Western culture talks about is this idea of rest being these concepts of indulgence, such as lazing around the house, binge watching TV, laying in your bed, scrolling through our phones, going out shopping or to a spa or resort, consuming in some way, or going out with friends and having a good time, etc., etc. And although these things that I just listed may be synonymous with concepts of unwinding or enjoying yourself, they are not actually rest. Today, I want us to look at rest from the perspective of its deepest meaning and intent to allow for total relaxation of the body, the mind, and the spirit, and to invite practices into our lives that promote wellness and peace in your mind and body. So that was actually a note that I just read that it came to me when I was eating breakfast. I'm like, that's exactly what I want to bring to this conversation with you guys. How can we debunk these concepts of what we've always thought rest is and really tap into the roots of how can we actually find that rejuvenation? Because even though there's nothing wrong with all the things I just listed, going out, shopping, consuming, watching TV, interacting on your phone, all of those things can be great within their proper context. But I've found in my own personal experience, and I'd love to hear you guys tell me if you can relate to this in the comments. Oftentimes, when I spend a lot of time consuming or on my phone or on the computer, doing something relaxing like maybe online shopping or binge watching a series, afterwards, I don't feel that refreshed. Like, is that just me or can you relate to that? It's like I feel kind of like I don't feel that rested. I feel maybe a little bit like lazy or a little bit like overwhelmed or like, I just don't feel recharged. I feel kind of the same amount of tired as I was before, honestly. Some of you guys are saying, yeah, you can agree. You feel dull and unmotivated. Yes, Amy, that's a great way to put it. It's like you feel even less motivated now to do something than you did before. You're like, oh, I'll watch something else now. And it's like the more you do that, the more you get into this cycle and you don't really feel this feeling of rejuvenation and excitement to, okay, wow, now I feel refreshed. I would like to, plan out tomorrow I'm going to do this and I'm going to work on my book or I'm going to start a creative project. What are some things we can do that actually tap into deep rest that will propel us forward, that will fuel us forward in our own journeys? I think the biggest pitfall that we hit, at least in the culture I've experienced growing up and living in currently, is that we mix work and rest. We often, we see this a lot, like we're on our phones in bed, we're talking about work over a meal, we're checking email late at night, and we're mixing work within our resting time. And I'm guilty of this too. I can't tell you how many times I have been working on my computer and eating lunch. And if my mom is around and she sees me, she's like, you shouldn't be mixing work and having lunch. And she's right, because there's actual science behind this stuff. There's actual science that shows when we don't take time to have a meal that it's unhealthy for our bodies, that we should take a pause, take a rest, and fully just enjoy the experience of having a meal. Be mindful of that moment. I'm just going to enjoy eating this meal and then I will go back to work. It's having these clear boundaries in place. Okay, I'm going to check my phone and I'm going to update some social media. I'm going to do that for 20 minutes, a half hour, 1 hour, whatever it needs to be for you. But create a boundary of, all right, this is work time, or this is, time for social media. I'm going to do this. And then when that's over, and now this is maybe family time, maybe time to be with a spouse or significant other. And I'm going to fully just have it be that. I'm fully going to give this person my attention. I'm fully going to even your animals, right? Like walking your dog. I've seen so many people, they're on their phone walking their dog or talking on the phone. And we're not really paying attention to what's happening right in front of us. So something that could be a restful activity, like going for a walk or having a meal or even lying in bed, listening to the birds outside. Those things are no longer restful because we are allowing work and consuming and external voices to kind of seep into every nook and cranny of our lives. Excuse me. So, by simply bringing some mindfulness to each situation and realizing, okay, you know what? I'm going to be fully present right here, right now. I'm going to let work have my full attention, and then I'm going to let rest have my full attention. So maybe you work during the day and then, cutoff time is 6 o'clock and that's the time you spend with your family, or even working on your own creative projects. That's your fun, that's your rest. Allow that to have its designated sacred time. And that's what it really is. It's sacred. You're giving value and time and attention to that space in your life and realizing, you know what, that's important too. Work isn't the only important thing. Rest is also important. And rest does not have to be reclining on the sofa. Physical rest is important when our body needs it. And we can have deep, satisfying rest by limiting phone usage at night and maybe drinking a cup of tea to help us sleep better, doing mindful practices so that we do have a deep, nourishing sleep. But participating in restful activities, whether it's journaling, or having a conversation with a friend, spending time with family or your children or your pets, going for a nature walk. These are all things that can be so deeply restful and rejuvenating if we allow them to be. Tim, thank you for the super chat. I so appreciate that. Thank you. Katja, I believe I'm saying your name right. I hope I am. You say you agree. Sometimes rest can quickly turn into procrastination and become bad for our mental health. Yes, that is so true. It can become procrastination when we are not being intentional. I think that's so important to realize. But on the topic of designating time for rest, I was listening to a beautiful talk by one of the monks that I love listening to some of his teachings, and I have linked this video below. So you'll be able to find it in the description. So after this live, feel free to go check it out. I highly recommend checking it out. Actually, it's a wonderful talk. But he talks about creating boundaries, physical boundaries in your space. So he talks about how in the monastery, the space where they sleep is considered like the sacred space for rest only. So you can't bring any type of work task into that room. And it's funny because thinking about it, many of you, like me, may often sit on your bed with your laptop working on things, or maybe you have lunch and you're eating and working and you're in your bedroom, creating a sanctuary in your home, whether it's your bedroom or another room. But I think for a lot of people, the space where they sleep gets invaded by so many other so many other things like work piled up, and we're just, scrolling through our phones. And how can we mitigate that? How can we create a boundary there? So even if it's not a physical boundary of, okay, this room in my house is only for resting, creating boundaries within your life, with your time, of this is my work schedule, but this is my rest schedule. I mean, how many of us have a rest schedule? We really often are so focused on what we need to get done that we're not really thinking about what breaks we need to take, what we need to not do, which sounds funny to say it like that. But it is true that there is benefits that we can reap from not doing things all the time. We can we can really tap into so much more inside of us when we make space in our schedules to do nothing. There's this funny, I'll just tell you guys this quick story. There's this cool film that's about, it's a biopic sort of about John Keats, the poet. And it's called Bright Star, beautiful film. But there's this funny scene where Keats and his colleague are in a house, and a friend of his is coming and knocking at the door, and you can sort of see through the glass door that Keats is just laying on the floor doing absolutely nothing, sprawled out. And the friend's tapping on the door wanting to come in, and he's like, "Go away, we're working." And I thought that's so funny, because what he was indicating was, by laying around and having no noise, no distractions, no nothing, I'm just laying here staring at the ceiling, I'm actually cultivating ideas by not having my mind occupied by people and places and things that I need to get done. I need to go here, I need to do that. By just, hey, you know what? I'm going to just lay here and enjoy the day. I'm going to not think about what I need to do in the endless to-do list, and I'm going to just think my creative thoughts and see what comes to me. That I could relate to that, because so many of my best ideas have come to me when I'm resting, when I'm in a state of rest, when I'm not piling on things to do, and when I'm in that state of rest, I'm not engaging other external sources. I'm not listening to endless TV or music constantly going, or TV in the background trying to do this and that and the other thing. That's not really resting, is it? It's our mind is constantly occupied. So when we take a rest, it needs to be more than just rest for the body. It has to be rest for the mind and the spirit as well. So sometimes we need to schedule time to, you know what, this is my sacred space to do nothing at all. Maybe we do a yoga practice, maybe we do a yoga nidra, maybe we just sit here and chill. Maybe we have a conversation with a friend we haven't talked to in a long time. We have a cup of tea. Like, there are so many things that we can do that are restful activities. The ones that came to my mind this morning are qigong, yoga, forest bathing, reading, prayer, meditation, having a conversation with someone you love, and practicing deep listening, mindful walking, mindfully consuming content that inspires you, making something with your hands, sleeping, stretching, playing with your pets, cleaning mindfully. Cleaning can be restful. Think, talk about like reimagining something there, Playing calming music or playing an instrument, etc., etc., etc. The list can go on and on. Those were just a few that came to me. I find cleaning to be really relaxing. Sometimes I'll just turn on a teaching quietly, or some soft like handpan music, or nothing at all. I'll just open the window and listen to the birds and clean my room, clean my house. It can be so deeply nourishing to just not to just take a step back from all the things you have to do, and just, you know what? I'm going to just sweep the floor. I'm going to just focus on that. Where I'm going to just go for a walk, and I'm going to focus on each step What does the ground feel like? What temperature is it? What does the sun feel like on my face? Is it raining? Can we hear the rain on the roof? Maybe we just listen to the rain. There's so many ways we can tap into deep rest. And I wanted to bring a little bit of my martial arts background into this conversation. I've studied and practiced Shotokan karate for about 7 years now. And one of the concepts my sensei is always hammering into my head is the fact that you can't be tense all the time. We cannot live in a state of tension. We cannot practice karate in a state of tension. Because when you're practicing karate and you have your fists always clenched as tight as they can be, and you're practicing, say, a kata, which is a series of movement. If you have your fists clenched the whole time or you're tensing the whole time, and let's say you have a bunch of these you have to do, you're going to get very tired very quickly. Your hands are going to be shaking from how tense you're holding them. And so often my sensei will come whack my fist and be like, loosen your hands, loosen your hands. He uses the phrase relax, explode, meaning, let's say you're doing a series of punches or kicks. You are relaxed and you are at ease with your breath until that moment when you're ready to deliver the punch or kick or the series of whatever you're doing if you're doing a kata. And how that allows your energy to fully express itself rather than if you're constantly just drumming up all that energy all the time, tense, ready for the next thing. That is what leads to burnout like that. And that taught me so much about life, that one principle, because it's something that you constantly have to remind yourself when you are practicing martial arts that, okay, we're relaxed, we're soft, we're supple until we need to be hard and rigid and ready to strike. And then we become soft again. It's that movement of water versus fire and being able to have a balance of both within the body. And I know this seems kind of philosophical, but when we apply it to our lives in other areas, we don't have to practice martial arts in order to practice these really deep concepts of when we feel burnt out creatively, it's because we've been tense for so long. How many of you guys can relate to that feeling of being like you're just on all the time, working on this, working on that, taking care of the family, going to work, working on the creative project, working on several creative projects, and it's like, oh my goodness, I just want to break, but I feel like if I stop, everything will fall apart. Everything will fall apart if I stop for a break. I just have to keep going and going and going. And it feels like you're running on a treadmill, but you're not sure how to get off. You're not sure how to juggle everything. It's this concept of finding tension and relaxation, that balance within ourselves. A lot of you guys are commenting, yep, you know that feeling. Makes a lot of sense. Yes. Yes. Katja says, I'm still learning how to be more gentle to myself. Good. Good for you. Because we do need to be gentle with ourselves. We need to realize we are human beings, not human doings, and that machines produce, but artists create. We are artists. And so we need to give ourselves time to find deep rest. We need to realize we can't be tense all the time. We can't live our lives like this. We have to also live our lives like this. It has to be a combination of the two. It really does. Because in order for us to be able to have that high energy, we'll also have to be nourishing that energy and fueling that fire and taking the time to do that. Otherwise, we won't have the energy we need to give to ourselves and to others and to these beautiful projects we've decided to embark on. So, if you want to hear a little bit more about the martial arts concept of tension and relaxation, there's a beautiful talk by Master Shi Heng Yi of the Shaolin Monastery in Europe. Shaolin Temple Europe is the name of the YouTube channel, and they talk a lot about martial arts and specifically Qigong and Kung Fu. Really, really interesting stuff. I won't get too nerdy about it right now, I promise. But this specific talk, there's also a Qigong practice to help you with finding release from tension. But the first 20 minutes is a talk that Shifu Shihengyi gives about how to find a release of tension and balance tension with relaxation. And it's very, very good. I've listened to it a few times and I have new thoughts each time I listen to it because it's quite interesting from a standpoint of incorporating it into a physical practice of martial arts, but also how do we apply that to our lives every day in this high strung society of do, go, don't stop, stay on the treadmill. You have to keep making the next thing. How can we step back from all of that and rest and find deep rest within ourselves, find peace, find stillness, and fuel the fire within us so that we actually feel like making the next thing? Because that's what causes us to create is how well we are nourishing ourselves. Finding a balance. That's what it's all about, is finding a balance. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Doesn't make us lazy to rest. And if I could have you walk away with anything from this talk, it would be you have full permission to rest, and it does not in any way make you lazy or neglectful. And don't ever allow any external voices to make their home in your thoughts that tell you that. I've heard people say that before, "Oh, that's kind of lazy taking a break like that. I'm always going. I'm always it's become the normal response, at least in the society I experience on a day-to-day basis, to say, "Oh, things are busy. How are you? Busy." Like that, if you don't say that, you're somehow you're not in with the cool kids. You're slacking. But that's couldn't be further from the truth. That couldn't be further from the truth. We have to find the balance between work and rest in our day-to-day lives. And taking rest days is one of the most important things that we can do in our practice. Whether it's taking the weekend off or taking one day a week off, but there has to be that pause. There has to be that time of stepping back and acknowledging, I'm a sacred being. I'm going to do things that fuel my soul. And maybe, the list that I list off, like yoga, this, that, nature walks, make your own list that, hey, on my rest day, I'm going to choose one or two of these things and I'm going to go do them. It doesn't have to be just taking a nap. It could be something that deeply nourishes your soul, something that makes you feel so rested that after you do it, you're like, "Oh, I feel so refreshed. I feel ready to take on my next creative project. I feel ready to do anything. I'm so refreshed." For me, one of those things is like when I go for a hike and I come back from a hike, I'm like, "Oh, I feel so refreshed." Getting outside, breathing fresh air, doing something active, that for me is like deeply fun and nourishing. For you, it might be something else. But identify what those things are for you. Make a list just for fun. And pick one or two of them. And you know what? Hey, I'm going to take every Wednesday, every weekend, and I'm going to do two of these things. Whether it's just I'm going to have an hour of no phones and no TV, and I'm going to sit outside, I'm going to listen to the birds. I'm going to listen to whatever noises are around me. I'm going to practice yoga. I'm going to play my instrument, whatever. But do something that fuels your soul. That's the best cure for burnout is preventing it way ahead of time. And we can prevent it by nourishing ourselves so well, doing that preventative care so that we don't hit that point of like, oh my gosh, I'm so burned out now. I don't know what to do. I feel like I haven't stopped in ages. We don't want to feel like that. We want to feel like, you know what? I could keep going and going because I am taking breaks when I need them. I'm taking rest days. I'm rejuvenating and nourishing my soul. Thank you so much, Amy. Intentionality is so key. Thanks for these chats, Kate. Thank you so much for being here, Amy. You mean the world to me. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad all of you are here. Thank you so much for the super chat. So that's really all I wanted to chat about today, guys, was this concept of rest and how can we reimagine it and utilize it as a beautiful tool to not only help us physically and keep us healthy, but to help us creatively, to help us spiritually. Because when we when we take this idea of needing to work all the time and we become fixated on just we need to work, we need to get things done, we need to constantly be doing something, that's when we very often feel in a creative rut like we can't create. So let's prevent that by taking care of ourselves, by resting, by finding what feels restful to us. And like I said at the beginning of this talk, all the resources I mentioned and then some are linked below. So I linked those 2 talks that I mentioned about designating spaces in your home for rest and not mixing work and rest, the one about qigong practice of tension and release. I also linked a couple meditations and a link to my meditative course for writers, which is a 7-day course if you guys are interested in checking it out. Meditation is one of those things that it helps me so much to create a barrier between work and relaxation too. Get out of the headspace of work, just sit down for 5 minutes, do some deep breathing, maybe a breath work practice, and get into a state of relaxation and releasing stress. So be sure to check out all those resources below. Thank you guys for all the encouragement in the chat. I loved being able to read your notes, and I'm so encouraged to know that I'm not alone on this journey, that we are all on this journey together, walking side by side and learning as we go, right? We're learning each and every day how to apply these principles to our daily practices in ways that serve us in a positive way. And use this as a springboard. We don't need to copy and paste someone else's life, including mine, to yours. It's all about like maybe you use it as a springboard to come up with your own ideas and find things that are truly going to serve you in your unique journey. Thank you so much for being here, my friends. Thank you for all the sweet chats. I'm just reading through some of them right now. It's I love all your thoughts. Are awesome. I'm so glad that this talk could serve you guys in a positive way. I send you all my love, all my gratitude, and all my light, and I will see you next Saturday. Until then, stay stoked, and I wish you so much joy in your journey.